Hello, you guys. Well, it's pretty late for some of you guys. I think for some of you, it's the middle of the night. But I just wanted to come and not have any serious conversation, but kind of just chit chat with you guys, kind of vibe out by myself. Because right now I'm here by myself, so I might just be sitting here listening to myself talk, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I'll post it later. But hey, Joja. But I thought it would be fun just to sit and have a conversation. There's a lot of stuff that I'm interested in talking about. Weirdly enough, stuff I don't normally talk about, but I'm not trying to do it in like a super serious fashion. I'm kind of trying to, to chill. But I figured I could talk to you guys versus at you guys. Sir, I'm going to put the link in the chat. And if you want to come up and you want to talk about something, we can talk about that. Otherwise, I'm probably just going to ramble on because we know I will ramble. If you give me an opportunity, I'll find something to talk about. Hi, Joja. Hi, TT. Hello, Pretty in Black. Hi, V8 Supercar 1. Hello, Charze. Hey, straight from the gate. Um, I don't really know who that is. Like, I don't really know her like that, so I haven't seen anything. I really don't have anything to say with regard to her because I don't know her like that. Hi, Northern Belle. So there were a lot of things. Oh, you like to hear a good ramble, Scarred Beauty? Yeah, well, my rambles are probably, you'll know I'm not going to say anything that I'm supposed to say. But I was thinking about a few things, like a few silly things. Well, silly stuff to me, because you guys know I'm not really interested in like celebrity gossip and like all of that kind of stuff. But it's been going around, and even people like in my private life were talking to me about like a little bit of celebrity gossip. So on one hand, I was kind of like, maybe I want to talk about that, even though I'm not super familiar with these people like that. Um, but I do think like there's a wider conversation to be had with some of that. Like, something's going on with Dr. Dre. I know something's going on with Mike Epps, who's very funny. I really enjoyed him. I think the only thing I've really ever seen from him was when he was on Friday, and I thought he was pretty funny. But I know there's a controversy around him and his daughters. Um, Hi, I am Legend. So I know a few of those things were out. And if what do you guys want to talk about? Those were the couple things that were on my mind. And I kind of hesitated really, like, I'm hesitating really saying anything on them because I think anything I have to say, it's not going to be, the opinion's not going to be super popular. It's going to be very unpopular. So maybe you guys can save me from myself and you guys can pick a topic and then I don't have to throw myself into the fire and say a bunch of stuff that's likely to offend 99.9% of people. Or you guys cannot save me from myself and I'll just start rambling and then you guys can all crucify me. You can burn me at the stake, tomorrow. Which way do we want to go with it? Do I think there'll be another lockdown in the fall? You want to hear it anyway, Joja? Okay. Do I think there'll be another lockdown in the fall? Do I think they'll flex? Possibly, but I think they're more concerned with, getting people to take these vaccines and to take them, but the vaccine is going to be a never ending thing. It's going to require booster after booster after booster without end. I think this is just, like I said, an exercise in public control and things like that. So, um, yeah, there could be, right? But that's if we allow it. But I think, there won't be if it's going to crash the economy unless they have a desire to crash the economy. And right now it seems like Biden's trying to like backpedal off of that a little bit. He extended the eviction. Um, protections and things like that, because the economy is on the verge of crashing. Like the all of the trash that came through COVID and kind of those totalitarian practices, that hasn't hit the fan yet. We haven't really seen it hit the fan because they've carried a lot of people, but there's about to be tons of people out on the street, homeless. There's going to be a lot of economic, repercussions for all of the stuff that's gone down. We're just at the end of that wave and it's going to hit the shore soon. Oh, you have to take it now, Charze? Oh, okay. You haven't seen the situation. Oh, well, I won't regret now, Sunnyside. I won't regret what I said, but you guys might still execute me for it. I hesitate to talk about the whole Dr. Dre thing, you guys. I really do hesitate to talk about the Dr. Dre thing, but I will. Um, if you guys even care about it, because first of all, I really don't care about Dr. Dre. I think he's an old man with a mannish looking ex-wife. His ex-wife though, she's a whole piece of work. Do you know that because he calls himself Dr. Dre and he trademarked that during their marriage, she wants rights to his name and is actually suing, saying that that his name, Dr. Dre, is community property. And she wants the money that's attached to it because that's community property and she's entitled to 50%. Like, this is past the $3.5 million a year she's getting in alimony, y'all. This is like some other stuff that she wants. That woman is a whole piece of work. She is a piece of work. I just think that that is hilarious. I just think that that is super duper funny. I really, really do. I think that that is hilarious. Yes, yes, I'm not making that up, y'all. I'm going to talk about it on the mixtape. But she's like, because he trademarked and started calling himself Dr. Dre during their marriage, she wants 50% of that. And he tried to do some funny stuff where he kind of um did some legalese like in the backdrop to kind of pull all of the money he made off of the Dr. Dre name and like his trademark off of the table of their divorce. But her and her lawyers, they're about to rape and pillage, okay? This chick is like, he is being unethical. He is hiding community property. She's entitled to 50% of the Dr. Dre, everything that Dr. Dre, that trademark, has earned, and will earn in the future, like royalties, all of that stuff. Like, this chick is not playing. She wants that 3.5 million and then some more stuff. Which I just found that out on the sideline because, I was listening really to Sin and then Mr., if you can believe it or not, he wanted to talk about it for the mixtape about what happened with his daughter, which my opinion on what happened with his daughter is going to be a little bit different. Um, just because, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yep, you guys, it's hilarious. But my opinion of what happened like with his daughter is like a little bit different because having grown up, so first of all, here's the thing. I'm going to say this and I know you've heard other people say it, but like I said, don't crucify me. Just hear me out. Hear me out. His daughter is basically 40 years old. She is a single mother with, what is it, three, four kids. I think she has four children. And he has been financially supporting her and her children up until last year. He financially supported her and her children up until last year. Now, where he was dumb is he didn't really want her. He's kind of like Mike Epps because Mike Epps cut his daughter off too. Did you guys know that? Mike Epps cut his daughter off too from his first marriage. The daughter that he says looks like James Brown. The daughter he says looks like James Brown. The ugly daughter, right? He says his daughter is beautiful, but she looks like James Brown, and that he left her mom because he couldn't be seen walking down the red carpet with James Brown. So Mike Epps cut his daughter off too. Now, Mike Epps says he cut his daughter off because she was hanging out with the boy who was basically mooching off of her. And since his daughter wouldn't break up with the boy, she cut him off. I mean, he cut her off. He's like, I'm not going to be paying for you to have this little, boy spending my money. Um, I mean, she was an adult, but, a young adult. I think, she was still a teenager, 18, 19, young. Um, so, she was basically still a kid. She just was above, she was 18, 19. But Dr. Dre, cut his daughter off at 40. So I'm going to say this. Here's the thing. In my family, like me personally, um, I have never been in a position where employment and survival were things I had to worry about. So I have worked before. It's not like I've never worked. I'm telling this story for a reason, y'all. Just travel down this rabbit hole with me. I have worked, but I have never had to work or I was going to be on the street. I've never had to work or I wasn't going to have food. I've never been in that position. Okay. Now, there was a time in my life where I chose to not take money from my family just to have my independence. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of what Dr. Dre's daughter is finding out. When you come from a family where the women, I'm not saying this is how his family works, but in my family, when you come from a family where the women are taken care of, so like I have an aunt, my aunt is dang near 60, and this woman does not drive. She doesn't drive. Literally, one of her brothers, well, really, it's my one uncle, if she has to go somewhere, like she was working a little job or whatever, he would drive from San Francisco to Hayward for her or to Oakland, like wherever she was living at the time. And she didn't drive. She didn't have to drive anywhere. He would go pick her up in the middle of the night. He would drop her off in the morning. He would, work around his schedule to get her to and fro. When you from a family like that, where lots of women are housewives, where, I have a cousin that never filled her own car up with gas. Like she was in her 20s and had never had to go to a gas station to put gas in her own car because her dad made sure that her car stayed full. Her dad would be the one, same thing he did for his wife. You know what I mean? He'd make sure their cars were full. He'd make sure the tires, the oil changes, all that's done. My point in saying this is when you have um when you have a family where you're taken care of that way, people expect you to do what they want you to do. I'm just going to keep it real. You are expected to do what people want you to do. Now, this can range from total control, where you literally are going to do what I want you to do, or this can range from don't do anything to embarrass or disrespect me. Now, that seems to be the relationship Dr. Dre had with his daughter. Okay. But where he went wrong is he had no personal relationship with his daughter. So he was giving her money for until 2020, literally she said until just last year, he was funding her life. He paid for her living expenses and he also gave her a cash allowance, right? So she's darn near 40 years old and he's paying for her living expenses and her four children's living expenses and he's giving her a cash allowance. But where he went wrong is he was willing to give her money, but he didn't really want to be bothered with her. He didn't want to talk to her. He didn't want to have a relationship with her. She made a decision, okay? She made a decision much like I made a decision. I remember a point in my life where my mom was like, you can live in this particular house. And it was a nice house, a brand new house, But it was like, if I live in that house, I've got to do everything that you want me to do. So I'm willing to just go off into the world and just see what it is to live on my own, right? And lots of people who grow up in families where you can be taken care of make that choice. They make the choice to branch out and go off on their own. But when you do that, you don't get to take your family's financial support with you. I'm just telling you that from perfect personal experience. I've never known a family member who goes against the will of the family and gets to take their money with them. It just doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. I'm telling you from personal experience. That's not how the cookie crumbles. So in Dr. Dre's daughter's situation, he's like, I don't want to be bothered, which is an evil thing. He's an asshole for that. I'm not saying that he's a good person for that. He's a bad father for that. You don't want to see your grandkids. You don't want to talk to your daughter. Okay, so you're paying her bills and you're also giving her an allowance. She's a mother of 4 kids, but she's still getting an allowance from her father. He's still paying for her living expenses, right? He's taking care of her, he's taking care of her grandkids. Now, she made a choice to go to the media, right? She's like, whatever you're giving me isn't good enough. I also want a father, which is her right. And I respect the fact that she did it. She went to the media and is like, I don't even talk to my dad. Like, my father gives me money. I'm 30 something years old. I think she was 37 at the time. I'm 37 years old. My father doesn't talk to me. He doesn't see his grandkids. He just gives me money. He just pays for me to live someplace and he sends me an allowance every month. When she decided to go to the media, he decided, I'm cutting you off. Now, everybody can have their opinion on whether that's right or not. I'm just going to tell you from personal experience, that's par for the course. You would get cut off in my family for something like that too. I would get cut off, right? I mean, I have had periods of my life where if I didn't want to play respectability politics with my family, I don't get to take my family's money with me. I don't know any of my cousins that get to take their family's money with them. Right? Now, there might be a family member who will take you in or something, but like if I'm talking like about my mother or something like that, my mother who would buy me cars, pay for my living expenses, give me anything I wanted, if I step outside of her rules and regulations, I didn't get to take her money with me. Now, I'm not saying that his daughter doesn't have a right to do whatever she feels she has to do to have a relationship with her father. I'm saying that the reality is when you are an adult, like I am an adult, like she is an adult, and you have the type of family where you have generational wealth and they give money to adults. Because some families are like that. Not many Black families are like this, but we don't get to usurp the authority of the elders in our family and still get financial benefits from our family. They cut you off. That's really what goes on. That goes on in my family too. And that's essentially what happened to her. So, on one hand, I understand the girl is homeless now and all this, but at the end of the day, she made a choice. She was willing to put everything on the line to go to the media and basically think that she could coerce her father into being a better person, right? She wanted more than his money. She wanted more than him paying for her to have a place to live. She wanted more than him giving her an allowance every month. She wanted a relationship with him. And she went to the media and she spoke on it. And he said, since you want to go to the media, then I'm not going to pay for you to live anymore. And honestly, I mean, everybody can have an opinion, but I'm going to say that that reaction does not surprise me. And I would, if I moved that way in my family, I would get cut off too. I would get cut off too. I would. People who have defied their parents or been heavily disrespectful or got up to some shenanigans that their parents didn't like, they've been cut off. I've seen this happen to relatives of mine. And here's the thing, something that we are always taught is that we aren't owed that, right? Like Obviously, if your family has money, they're going to share with you because you're their blood. But as far as you being owed that money, we're always taught we're not owed that, right? So let's say when my mother was dying, one of her properties she wanted to give to one of her siblings. Now, technically, that property was supposed to go to my eldest son, but he's not owed that. So she can do whatever she wants to do. And that's exactly what I said. I said, whatever you want to do, mom, that is perfectly fine. Whatever you think is best. At the end of the day, the people who have the purse strings, you have to cooperate with them if you still want to be in their good graces. And I don't know, does anybody else come from a am I the only person that comes from a family like this? Where older like young adults or even women my age or sometimes even men are afforded an allowance by their family or maybe properties or are maybe grandfathered into a business by their family. If you're from a family similar to mine or similar to how Dr. Dre had it set up for his daughter, where she was a full grown adult with children and he was still giving her an allowance and paying her living expenses, are you allowed to disrespect and usurp the people that are giving you the money and still get your allowance? You can't get away with that in my family. So I guess for me, I mean, she shouldn't have gone to the press. She should have figured out a way privately to deal with her father because I would have known in her position that that was going to jeopardize my livelihood. If I, she's, looking for a job and stuff, she didn't cultivate anything. She obviously doesn't have a skill set. She's not used to working because he took care of her. So for me, I wouldn't have personally risked my entire livelihood. I would have had to find another way to connect with my father other than going to the press. I really think she shot herself in the foot. I'm just going to keep it real. Yeah, I really think she shot herself in the foot. And I know that's not the most popular narrative that's going around, but I just have to say, like, from my personal experience, having a family that's kind of set up very similarly, we can't move funny with the people that have the money in my family and still expect them to give us their money. We can't. And so I guess I can understand why he cut her off. Now, I don't think that it's right that he doesn't want to see his grandkids. I don't think that it's right that he doesn't talk to his daughter, but I do think that she was taken care of well enough that at 40 years old she doesn't have any skills, right? At 40 years old, she's driving for Uber and Lyft, and there's nothing wrong with driving for rideshare. I'm just saying that you are a woman who had her entire lifestyle paid for and got an allowance on top of that, and you were almost 40. And you didn't use any of that money to get an education. You didn't use any of that money to start a business. You didn't use any of that money to do that. And knowing that you were used to being taken care of and that you had no skills whatsoever, you then go to the press to try to resolve an issue with your father and get yourself cut off. I don't think he's a great person for not dealing with his daughter other than to take care of her financially. But I do think she was very unwise to handle that in the way that she did. And getting cut off, honestly, that would have happened in my family too. She would have got cut off in our family too. She really would have. She would have definitely got cut off in my family too. Heck, if I did something like that right now, I'm going to get cut off. I'm not even going to lie. And I'm older than her. If I move that way in my family right now, I would get cut off too. I would. I would get written out of some people's wills. Whatever little money I'm getting, I wouldn't get it anymore. Like I would get cut off too. And so, so I think he did what you can expect to happen in that kind of situation. right? What? Somebody said that they should have put the money in the mattress? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not saying that he's a good person. I'm not saying that he's a good person. Obviously, if you're not talking to your own daughter and you don't want to see your own grandkids, you're not a great person. But he's obviously not also a horrible person because he was paying for her entire lifestyle until last year. Like, she's got 3 kids, she's not married, and he didn't wanna see his daughter or his grandkids on the street, and he was paying for their house. He was paying for them to live, and he was giving her an allowance until last year. So I don't think he's a great person, because a great father would talk to his daughter, and he would see his grandkids. But I think he did have some sense of responsibility toward his daughter because until 2020, he completely paid for her lifestyle. I mean, could y- she's a damn near 40-year-old woman who was getting a cash allowance from her father, who was getting her home paid for by her father. So, you know, was he the best person? No, he's not the best person, but was he a horrible father? Nah, cuz he was covering her whole lifestyle, right? So clearly he stepped up somewhere because 40 years old is a long way from being a kid. And so if he just stopped paying for her lifestyle last year as a result of a decision she made, like that was her choice. That doesn't absolve the fact that he should, like I said, he should talk to his daughter and stuff. He should see his grandkids. But she definitely was reckless with how she handled it, knowing that she has no other way to make money, knowing that she has no skill set, knowing that she hasn't done anything with her life to be able to support her family and that her father supports her and her family, she should have known not to go to the press to talk about anything. She should have figured out a way to do that privately amongst the family, right? And that's honestly what I think about that situation. I don't think anybody's an angel in that situation. I don't think Dr. Dre is an angel. I don't think his daughter is an angel in that situation. I think it is what it is. You would get cut off in my family too. Oh, somebody's back there? How come I didn't see you? Oh, oh, if somebody came up here, I think somebody came up and I did not see you. Patchy said 40 is the new 20. I don't know about that. I think when it comes to I do have like feedback, and
Oh, sorry.
no, it's okay. I think when you say 40 is the new 20, I don't think it's like that. I think in some families, because my family's like this too, you just get money from your family. It's not about whether you're young or old. It's about if the family has enough money, they take care of their own. In the hopes that you do something productive with the money that they give you. But some people just live off of it. You know what I mean? So I don't begrudge the fact that her father was taking care of her. That's very common in families where people have money. That's not uncommon, and there's nothing wrong with it. Um, but I think, you know, that comes with strings. You don't get to act any kind of way and still get your life paid for. And I think that's just the reality. What's up? What are your thoughts? Or you could talk about something else too. We don't have to talk about this in particular.
Um, I guess what I wanted to say is, um, the way I don't know, the way I see Dr. Dre and like what he was doing, um, I feel like he could have helped her in a different way. Like, why is she still paying rent at like 40? You get what I'm saying? Like, she could have bought a house like somewhere in the South and then maintained herself just working at like a factory somewhere down there. You get what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's
Yeah.
certain measures that they could like, because I'm like, with the amount of money he has, he could have got her like a $300,000 house in the South. Her and her kids would be set up and they'd be straight. The only thing she'd need to do is maintain the utilities.
Yeah, so I don't know enough about their relationship over the past 20 years since she
Mhm.
turned 18 to say, but I'll say this, wherever she was living, he paid for that, and she had an allowance on top of that, like a cash allowance for her expenses on top of that. So even if he didn't take the initiative to purchase her a house, in 20 years of him giving her an allowance, she could have purchased herself a house because you're not paying for any place to live, right? And we don't know that he has never bought her a house. I don't know that. I'm not sure. But even if he never bought her a house, if you don't have to worry about a roof over your head because your dad's paying for it, right? And he's giving you cash on top of that, enough for you to support yourself and your children, then she could have been frugal somewhere and got herself something modest. I don't think it's necessarily, I have to say, like, I got an allowance and I was, bought vehicles and things like that, but nobody ever bought me a house. The first house I had, I inherited, but nobody ever said, okay, I'm going to buy you a house. They gave me the means to be responsible with what I was given. But she's not entitled to a house. Even if he has a lot of money, because some people with money are like that. They're really not trying to hand their kids everything. And I think, wasn't he already generous to pay for her entire lifestyle and to take care of her and her kids until last year?
But how long did he do that for? Because I was under the impression that like he didn't talk to her for like 18 years.
No, he
And then
doesn't talk to her. Yeah, nah, he
like
doesn't talk to her, but he gives her money. And that's what she was
okay.
upset about. She said that he hasn't talked to her for all that time, like you said, but he gives her money. That's what she said. So he's always paid for her to live, and he's always given her an allowance, but he just is a jerk and he didn't want to talk to her. And even after she had kids, he doesn't talk to his grandkids, but he still made sure that she lived. You know what I mean? He still paid for her to live. He still gave her an allowance. He just didn't have any personal interaction with her, and that's what she was upset about, which I think we both can agree that's okay, right? Like I would be upset if my dad didn't want to talk to me too.
Mhm.
Um but she risked everything by going to the press because now he doesn't want to pay for her. He doesn't want to pay for her living anymore,
Mhm.
So
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of it's. I don't know. To me it's just maybe it's just multifaceted, and maybe I'm just being too lenient. It's just I don't know. I just think it's messed up all the way around. Like I feel like yes, she should be in a place, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know really. I just
yeah.
I feel like I just think it's sad all around. Like, why wouldn't he want to, get to know his kids and grandkids and whatnot? So I don't know. I
No, I
just
agree with that. I think that's the saddest part of the situation is the disconnect from his daughter and his grandchildren. I really don't care that he cut her off because she asked to be cut off. But I do
hmm
think the real problem is that he's not speaking to his own daughter or his own grandkids.
hmm I agree with that. So I guess at this point I'll drop off. Like I think that's the main point I wanted to make because maybe some parts of the story I didn't realize. So he was taking care of her, but for like, he just wasn't talking to her and really trying to be a part of her life.
Yeah,
And
he
that
wasn't
just
trying to
kind
be
of
that kind
sucks.
of father, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for hearing me.
No, I appreciate you coming up. Thank you so much. And melanated said that can handicap a person, and that's true. And it has handicap her actually, because now that he's withdrawn his financial support, she's not capable of taking care of herself and her children. So in a way, he spoiled her. Strangely, he completely failed at having an emotional connection with his daughter. He failed at that, right? He failed at having an emotional connection with his grandkids, but he spoiled her at the same time because she's never had to take care of herself. And now that he's withdrawn his financial support, she is totally handicapped. She can't afford to take care of the family that she created because her dad has always taken care of her. Um, so yeah, you're right, Melanated. I agree with you. Hi, Nick.
Hey, am I on?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah, first I want to say I'm definitely a big fan of your channel, Irene. I definitely think you have a unique point of view on situations. And as far as Dr. Dre's concerned, at a certain point you gotta like I understand that he didn't have an emotional connection. But this girl is near 40 years old. At a certain point you need to accept your father for who he is. People have mixed relationships with their father. There's people whose father who hasn't been in their life. There's people whose father was drunk and abused them. But at a certain point, you need to understand who your father is. You need to accept that. You need to move on with your life. And I feel like she had the ability to accept that a fact that her father didn't really care about her emotionally, and that she needed
Mm.
to invest in herself, invest in her children. And I'm pretty sure she went to her father and said, "Look, I want to get some skills. I want to own a house. I want to support myself." I mean, you can say what you want about Dr. Dre. He seems like a reasonable man. He probably would have said yes to that. And yeah, that's kind of like where I feel about it. I feel like it's the most responsibility is on the daughter because the daughter should have she had 4 kids, so she had responsibility to her children to support herself, and then whatever kind of feeling she had about her father, she needed to talk to a therapist or figure it out by herself. So that's what I gotta
Yeah,
say
I
about
mean,
that.
I think it would be hard to accept like not being loved by your own father, but I think it's even harder if your father is in the public eye and it's not like a father that's like off in the distance that you never see, right? It's like a father that's like on TV taking pictures with his other kids and all that. And I guess that can start to be like eat away at a person over time. So I understand her desperation, and I think it actually speaks to her character to want something more from her father than just his money. Because some people would be like, dude, you're paying for my house, you're giving me a cash allowance to take care of me and my kids, so I never have to talk to you. That's cool with me, right? But I think it does speak positively for her character that she wasn't just happy with his money, that she wanted a connection with him. But I think Carmel King, it was Carmel King, right? Who said it? Oh, I can't find the comment. I think he was right when he says that she fumbled the bag. She did fumble the bag. That's what she did. She fumbled. Yeah, it was Carmel King. She fumbled the bag, right? Like, even if you want to make that connection with your father, she did fumble her own bag by going to the press about it. Because now, for the past year, she's not had financial support. So, in a way, I hear what you're saying. I think maybe it's easier to do that if your father isn't, on television and magazines all the time, though. So, it's easier to do that with a non existent father who you don't know where he's at versus a father that, is paraded around in your face all over media. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep, I totally understand. Peace and blessings, Irene. How are you tonight?
Hi. And then I wanted to also say hi to Pretty in Black. Do you mind if she speaks? Because she came up right before you.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Uh,
Hi, Pretty in Black. What are your thoughts on this or something else? If you want to talk about something else, that's fine too.
Oh yeah, I don't really want to talk about the Dr. Dre thing. So if the esoteric therapist wants to say something on that, like he can go ahead.
Okay. Do you have anything to say on the esoteric therapist thing? Because I think Pretty in Black's going to move us on to something else.
well, yeah, I just have something quick to say. And this happens so much. I'm gonna start off with this. Well, first off, I want to say peace and blessings to the panel. Peace and blessings to everybody in the chat. I hope everybody's blessed and still learning. But like the African proverb says, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that hurts the most. And I think a lot of times, what goes into a lot of the disconnect because a lot, but and this is just scientifically factual. Biologically, the man really has no connection to a child because it didn't come out of him. So, with that said, is you see a lot of times with men having issues with one night stands or because they have so much anger towards the mother and everything, they put it off on the child and just say, well, as long as I do the least, you know which is monetarily, well, hey, I'll be all right. Because it's funny because a lot of times you hear a lot of people saying, well, what classifies a person as a good dad? Well, I hear people saying, well, does he spend time with his children? They say, yeah, he spends time with his children, but he doesn't pay anything and everything. So he's a deadbeat dad. Okay, but then you hear other people saying, well, does he pay child support or does he support his child? And a lot of people say, yeah, he supports his child, but he doesn't spend any time with his child, so he's still a deadbeat dad. So it's just screwed up all the way around. There's no recourse for this. So yeah,
Yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation. I think, like I said, the most unfortunate thing to me is just that disconnect from her father. But from a financial perspective, she was unwise to go to the press. That was not a smart move, especially when she knew that she had not got a nest egg. And maybe because he had been financially supporting her for almost 20 years straight, she didn't really think he'd stop. But I guess she poked the bear one too many times, and he was just like, well, if you're going to go to the press, then I'm not going to pay for anything, right? You're not going to talk to me, and I'm not going to pay for your lifestyle and to maintain you and my grandkids. And
and so
so, she kind of shot herself in the foot there because she was
exactly.
hurting. Um, but it's just unfortunate that she felt that she just, was so desperate to have her father's attention that she did something that now has caused, her to lose her only financial support. I just wish she would have cultivated herself in the past 20 years. You had 20 years of financial support. I hope I would have hoped that she would have cultivated herself so that she could stand on her own 2 feet if it ever came to it. But I think Melanated brought up a good point is that sometimes when you never have to fend for yourself, it handicaps you. I mean, I know that was the case for me, you know what I mean, is like if I don't know, how well I would fare if I was ever put in a position where my entire livelihood was based on, going to work a 9 to 5 job because I've never had to do that before. So I think she's in that same situation. And when you are beholden to family members that are supporting your lifestyle, you really can't move funny. And like in no family that can afford to do that is anybody just allowed really carte blanche um, to take it so far that you do risk getting cut off. It just kind of is what it is. Pretty in Black,
And
go ahead.
I was
Were
just
you
going to
going to
say
say
one
something
last
else?
thing.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just one last thing. And it's ironic because when I was reading the article, I was like, well, where did this child come from? Because I thought that this child was from Miss Chalet, and come to find out it's not. So so from this child, this had to be just a one night stand because I've never even heard of her.
I don't
I
know
mean,
that I don't know if I don't think that her mom was a one night stand, but I do think it was before he took off. I mean, that's one of his elder children. So I'm not going to come to, and say her mom was a one off. I'm not going to say that. He's a very
okay,
old man. And so, 25 years
mhm,
into his past, which is how
yeah,
long he was with this first lady, who's making a real grab for his bag. Like she's about to own his actual name, Dr. Dre. By the time this woman is done with him, he's not
yeah,
going to want
that's
to use
true.
his own name because she is that lady. When I tell
Yeah,
you, she has her shovel out and her pistol. And
but
this 3.5 million she's getting every year is just the beginning of the damage she's going to do. But my point is, 25 years they've been together. And if you go back 25 years in his past, he's so old, he was still a full grown adult back then. So
yeah,
this,
true.
I'm not willing to say her mom was a one night stand. I think her mom was probably one of his early, relationships
Hmm,
before he became super, super rich. And I don't think even if it was a one night stand, that has nothing to do with her, right? She's still his child.
yeah,
She didn't
understandable.
have a one night stand and make herself. That would be on him. So I think, you know, that just is what it is as adults. If we make choices, there are consequences. And children aren't the children we create are not responsible for how we chose to bring them into the world. So
Very true.
there's that aspect of it too. Pretty in Black, where were you gonna take us?
I just want to say one
Okay.
more thing because
Actually, what the esoteric therapist said kind of just kind of goes along with what I was going to bring up. Um, because he said the thing about should a if a father is just paying monetarily, people say he doesn't spend time, so he's a deadbeat. And if he's spending time but he's not paying, then people say he's a deadbeat. And so, anyways, basically, what I was thinking about is this thing about what women bring to the table, because that conversation's been all over YouTube today. And it kind of coincides with like being a father is more than just money or time. Like there's a combination of the two. And the same way that like what a woman brings to the table in a relationship, if that's what you want to call it, isn't just, oh, I'm a cook and clean type thing that it seems to be pushed on YouTube.
Cooking and clean. Yeah, I think you have to be more multifaceted than that. I think a while back on my channel, like I kind of broke down, um, and I think it also depends on like the type of person you marry. So I know, um, in in the way that I was raised, right? Women wives operate it with many hats. So obviously there are the obvious things like homemaking, which is a very important job. Homemaking, I think, is the core and most important job. But also, women are the gatekeepers for the social hierarchy and progress. So, for example, when men, and like I said, it depends on, the type of man that you marry, but what I'm accustomed to is, for example, little things that women do. Let's say when I take my daughters to ballet class, that's an opportunity for me to network with the other mothers that run in our social circles. And so then for my particular, relationship, when, he is having a community event or when we are seeking funding for a nonprofit or things like that, it's those relationships where if I get on well with somebody's wife, then our family will get invited to their private event or I will invite them to ours. And that's a networking opportunity. And women are really the gatekeepers of that. Also, before I went live tonight, we were discussing the summer camp that he has starting this weekend that they just got funded and the schematics for that. I did the financials for that. I also did the flyers for that. I worked with his partner to make sure everything was prepared for the meeting he was having tomorrow. So I think depending like the hats that you wear as a wife really depend on what your husband, like what his maneuvering is in the world. But I think you need a competent wife because that's going to be your sounding board, right? And that's also going to be your peace at the end of the day, which is a big thing. So right now, everything is kind of up in the air with what he's doing because other people weren't prepared and the funding came through and the program starts next week and they have a week to pull it together. And the nonprofit he's working with, it's the first time they've done something on this scale or gotten this much funding. And so he's kind of walking everybody through that process, trying to get everybody fingerprinted and be ready for these families that are coming next week. He has a lot of stress on his shoulders. And then at the end of the day, he gets to speak on all that and, you know, and I can help relax his mind and contribute where I can with ideas and just gentleness so that he can be prepared for when he goes out the next day. So I think homemaking obviously is a huge part and I really never want to demean like keeping a good home because I think homemaking is foundational to developing healthy people, not just in your husband, like your children. The home that you keep is really like the grounding place for your family and that cultivates what people take out into the world. So I think homemakers are extremely important, but there are other aspects to being a wife as well. And I don't know that I would call it bringing it to the table per se, because I just think, like we use the phrase, but I think it's a little bit ridiculous. I do think that it's just what a woman's role is, which is supportive. And to be a good support person, you need to have skills other than, like I was saying the other day, just being pretty or just being capable of making a meal. Like those things are important, but obviously you have to have more to you than that so that you can have an all encompassing support to the man that you've married. And your skill set and what you can support and add to helping him achieve what needs to be achieved so that you can maintain the home needs to be equivalent to how he's moving in the world. That's why sometimes where I hear these guys saying, I don't want anybody smart, I don't want anybody educated, I don't want anybody, it's like you're not doing anything with your life then. Because nobody who's actually doing anything with their life wants a wife that sits at a dinner table with his colleagues and their wives and can't hold a conversation because she's completely vapid, right? Nobody wants to come home and talk about their latest project and their wife can just nod and smile and has no feedback, right? So, am I just going off on something? Am I off in left field, y'all?
No, you're good.
There's
You're
no,
good.
there's nothing wrong with
Am I?
that. No. I love
It's
the
pretty.
way
I'm like, it's
you
pretty black sitting there, like, girl, this is not what the hell I was talking about right now. Like, you have
No,
totally
no,
gone off
no,
no.
some
You were
other
on point.
shit.
I am. I think that I love the way that you articulate the things that you do in your marriage, because I feel like a lot of women have a hard time articulating what they bring to the table. I hate to say the phrase "bring to the table" as
Yeah, I
well,
hate that phrase too, but like we can roll with it for the sake of
but yeah.
conversation. It's fine.
Yeah, so like I think women have a hard time, and I think it gets reduced to cooking and cleaning when it doesn't even have to be cooking and cleaning, right? So like I was in a relationship where well, we both worked, but he made the money, paid the bills. I balanced the budget because he wasn't good at doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't really like to cook. I know how to. So he did most of the cooking at night, but I would do like the breakfast stuff. I don't mind cooking breakfast. I know I'm weird like that, but he didn't like cleaning the bathroom. I didn't mind cleaning the bathroom, but he didn't mind cleaning the kitchen, and I hated cleaning the kitchen. Like, we were each other's counterpart. And I think when we reduce it to, oh, it's just either or, you're cooking and cleaning or you're making money, it just kind of belittles who we are as people and us being well-rounded individuals. But the point I was going to make was, I think that maybe women should stop trying to, well, women shouldn't be answering this question anyways. If you're not marrying that dude, what you bring to the table is irrelevant. But
Hmm.
we shouldn't be trying to articulate it. And instead, I think that these men who are married should talk about what their wives bring to the table, because I think that they can better say what their wife is for them. I don't think that most men who are married, been married for a while, happily married, whatever, are going to say, oh, all my wife does is cook and clean and, carry babies or whatever.
I don't even like the term bring to the table either because I think when you bring something to the table, like if I figure like a table that's laid, right? One of my students, if those of you who are around when, or if you're on my Patreon, you can go back when my students did a presentation, and one of my young female students did a beautiful presentation where she talked about the idea of bringing things to the table. And she said the men, right, bring things to the table and the women set the table. Like the men bring the things and the women set the table. And I think that was a beautiful illustration. Women don't bring things to the table. If I wanted to use that analogy, we salt, right? You might bring the meat, we salt and we prepare it and make it something that is delicious and edible. And I don't mean that in a literal sense. I mean, that is what women do. We salt things, right? You have something and we improve what you have, right? What we bring is that extra edge that's going to make what you're doing even better, which is going to elevate what you already have going on by our wisdom, by our counsel, by us being a resting place, by us keeping home, right? All of those things that helps to salt and flavor what you already have. And that's what a lot of men lack. I think the idea of women bringing something to the table, like a hunter throwing a deer down for preparation, I think that that visual, I think a lot of men have it twisted because, but mind you guys, I'm coming from a very traditional perspective though, right? Um, because I'm not about to do that right now. I can definitely enhance like salt, right? Salt enhances the flavor of something, it makes it better. But as far as me bringing the main course, I'm not about to do that. I'm not a man, and I'm not going to be my best self if I have to do what a man does. Like a man, he does what he does, and as a woman, I do what I do, and those things complement each other. But I can't compare what I'm going to do and what you're going to do because we're not the same. I'm not trying to be in. It's funny, like men want to have like female empowerment questions sometimes, but they don't want a feminist for a wife, right? So
Look,
if you don't
no,
actually want a feminist for a wife, don't ask me a feminist question about what I'm going to do.
Well, I want to build off of that because, and I'm gonna make a long story short. Here's how I met my wife, actually, and I mean, and this will kind of serve about the bringing to the table thing. Well, when I first met my wife, I've been married for 7 years now. So, I first met my wife, because, I was the only child, and my mother fell ill. Well, I met my wife at the hospital, because she was a med tech at the time and everything like that. So, um, when we first met and everything, I was, taking care of my mother and everything like that, and me and her were going on dates and everything, but she knew what I was doing and everything, and I think that made her look at me like, wow, a man that's stepping up, taking care of his mom, or taking care of a sick family member. I guess that was stimulating to her, she said, and what it was when it came to making the decisions and everything like that, they gave my mother 2 weeks to live. And they were like, of course, they were like, well, your mom has 2 weeks to live and everything like that. Let's go ahead and put her in hospice and everything so she could, live out the rest of her days there. Well, I said, no, I'm not doing that. And I went against my aunts, and I'm talking about like aunts and uncles that took care of me when I was a child. I went against them, and naturally, she sat into that role of saying, "Well, you know what, Mark, if this is what you want to do, I got your back." And this was like 3 weeks into the relationship, so it kind of took off fast, and she stood right there with me through the whole thing. And I ended up taking my mother home, and she showed me how to take care of her and everything like that, but she let me be the head of the home and everything like that. And so I moved her in like a month later, to the house and everything like that. And and she naturally just fell in there. I mean, we didn't sit down and say, well, who's going to do who or what. I mean, I just led by example, and she just filled in the cracks, making sure that I got enough rest, making sure that everything was good and everything like that. And I made sure that she was good. And come to find out, the good thing about it was they gave my mother 2 weeks to live. My mother ended up lasting 4 more months
Ah,
under my care, and she ended up passing away in my arms.
I'm first of all so sorry for the loss of your mother. I know
Oh, it's a
what
it,
that's
it, it-
like.
it's a it, it's such a blessing because I got to do something I didn't even think I could do. But my point is, without her saying, "Hey, Mark, I got you," and everything like that. Oh man, that I mean that put that battery in my back to say I really can do this. And then too, of course, I mean it's something about the power of a good woman behind you that will. I mean, it'll make a man like do things he didn't even realize he could do. And I was doing, and the funny thing is, I think inadvertently, not only was I showing my mother, because of course I'm always was my mom's baby, I'm her only child, so I had to fight with her about it, her dementia going through and everything. Then I had to fight with family members and everything like that. And all the while, she just played her position. And I made sure that she was comfortable. I made sure that my mom was comfortable and everything like that. And after my mom passed away and everything like that, that we, because she was there with me and everything. I mean, I put a ring on her finger after about 4 months. I said, "No, you're gonna be my wife." And I
That
took her,
is a
and that
beautiful story.
yeah, I said you're gonna be
I
my wife, and I and I proposed to her on a cruise because I was like because we went through 4 months, going through all of that. I was mentally, physically drained, but I didn't let her know that, even though she probably saw it and everything like that. But she just kept on. She was like, "Babe, you good," and everything. Catered to me and all that stuff, and I catered to her as well, juggling. And I think that's what I think she saw. Wow, if he can make me feel good, plus take care of his mom, he's multifaceted. And then I'm gonna end it right here. So after I proposed her, I took her on a cruise, and I proposed her, got married, and the funny thing is about it, this is what got me into doing what I do now, which is life coaching, because she showed me, Mark, you actually got a talent. And I was like, well, what is that? She said, you're good at talking to people. I was like, well, yeah, I am, but she was like, well, maybe you should become a life coach and everything. And I was like, well, what the hell is that? I was like, don't you have to go to school for that or something like that? She was like, you don't have to, but you can, and if you do, I got your back because I know you can do it. And 5 years later, yeah, started my own business, my LLC, and everything, and yeah, we're doing it. And I have to credit her. I wouldn't be anything without her. I don't know where I would be without her.
That's beautiful. And I like how you
Yeah.
described it, like the filling in of the cracks. I think that's really more what it is, which is, kind of like my salt analogy. It's just adding that thing that makes the greater picture better. And I want to touch on something that Pachi was saying. Look, you said a farmer's wife would be out on the farm. What do y'all think farmers do? Farms are so far past like the wives going out on the farm and like milking the cows. I think that could be possible, but like most modern day farmers have like staff, right? And the men would go out, but she would have a job obviously supporting her husband. And that's why I said depends on what your particular husband is doing. Um, Also, when you talked about filling in the cracks, I just want to say sometimes we do as women, because the world says that the things that men have traditionally done are more valuable. We sometimes think there's not value in cooking or cleaning or taking care of our children. We think that that is not valuable work, but that stuff is very valuable. So even if what you do as a wife and mother is maintaining your house and you don't have to worry about too many things outside of that, that is still a very important job. And like I said, homemaking is the grounding, the foundational grounding for people. And even if you are home and taking care of your home and raising your children, like you nourishing those babies is a very important job. It's one of the most important jobs a person could have. And so I just think you don't have to um, do the same things that men do. Or I really do think that just being a wife and mother and homemaker is put down so much that we feel we have to add on top of that for whatever we are doing to be valuable. And I really I really want to encourage women to not feel that way. That if you spend your days cooking and cleaning and taking care of your babies and maintaining a beautiful home, that is super important and it's not less than anything else. It's not less than a woman who might go into the office or less than a woman who might work as her husband's personal assistant. It's not less than anything. It's an equally important job that honestly, so many women wish that they could have the liberty to do. And many children would probably be healthier for it if their moms could do those things. So I just want to throw that out there because I do think sometimes um, those things are looked at as simple things and they're looked down on and put down. And that really upsets me because it just demeans the importance of those jobs being done correctly, right?
I
Because we
agree.
don't
And
demean them when we pay other people to do them, do we? They become super important when you have to pay the
exactly.
babysitter and all those people. So
And you know what's so funny, Irene? And this is what I tell a lot of men here. And I don't think a lot of men understand this. So, sometimes you have to spoon feed it to them. Man, if you want to get any woman to submit or your woman or to be feminine, is number one, and I tell anybody this, and tell me if you agree or disagree. Never put your woman into what we call survival mode. Always make sure that she is comfortable so that she can rest in her femininity, meaning that she doesn't have to worry, she doesn't have to second guess anything. And that comes with communication, cooperation, and consideration. And once you do that, that woman is going to naturally submit because she feels like, hey, there's this big weight off my back. That's one thing that my wife said to me when we got married. Um, because how I see her, like, deal with her friends and everything, I'd be like, wow. When I first met her, I was like, man, you don't act that way with me. And she said, of course I wouldn't act that way with you because with you, I'm feminine. You allow me to be the woman that I am, that I've always wanted to be. And I was like, wow, okay, all right, well, hey, guy, I'm gonna keep this up. Now, yeah, do we have our disagreements and everything? Yes, but the thing about it is the respect is there and the love is there, and as yeah. As long as I'm, make sure that she is in her feminine role, meaning that her feminine energy is up to par. Like just like little things, like if I see something at the store, something, and or I see something that I think she would like. I mean, instead of me asking her, I just do it. Just because I want to make sure that she's feminine, and it's to the point now. She would even ask me, well, Mark, hey, what would look good on me? She even wants me to dress her. She's like, what would look good on me? I'm going to the nail salon. What color should I get? On my feet and everything. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, just go ahead and do it. She's like, no. What's your favorite color? And just little stuff like that. And yeah, and that's one thing I think a lot of men don't understand about a woman and her femininity. If you want her to stay in her femininity, don't put her in survival mode. So,
I think I think there's a belittling of what both men and women do. I don't think men just go to work and pay the bills either. Like you said, if you're out and you see something and you think, "Oh, my wife would like that," you'll grab it or whatever. I mean, I think that there's more beyond just, "Oh, I pay all the bills and I go to work every day," and then, "Oh, I cook and clean." And I'm not belittling either one of those things. I'm just saying that it's kind of ignoring that, you're dealing with an entire person who's a lot of
Mhm.
different ways and brings a lot of different things to the table, and should, I said it again, ugh. And then, and
you're
should
good.
really just be, your counterpart. They fill in where you need it. And that was like the example that I was talking about, just filling in where it's needed. It's picking up where that person, not everybody is going to be strong in everything. Not everybody likes the same things. Not everybody, has the same strong suits or whatever. And I think that when you're coming together with someone, it should be about this person compliments me and not
Mhm.
this person's really good at providing or this person's really good at cooking or something.
Mhm.
Like, it should be more than that. I feel like it's mostly men not only downplaying what women do, but they're downplaying what they do themselves by just saying, "Well, I provide, I pay all the bills," kind of,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. And, I think it's what's interesting to me is I have noticed the men that speak this way are not married. they, these men don't know actually what's going on because they've not cultivated it. They've not managed a healthy relationship. They're not in that position. They're literally talking out the side of their face about something that's not their lived experience, nor anything that they've been successful at. And that's why they think that way. Not that all those things are not, important in general, but I agree with you. They're not anywhere near the totality of things because, things that really matter to me, like obviously I care about my comfort, but the thing that I appreciate most at the end of my day isn't my comfort. I appreciate when Mr. has a busy day, like right now he's up against the wall and he texts me and he says, "Don't forget to call me when you guys get ready to read," because he's not in town and we read and we pray at night with the kids. We had been doing it, just me and him, like I would do it with the kids and then he and I would do it later. But one day he was just like, "I'm going to do it with you and the babies." And then he video calls and then we all get a chance to see him and talk to him while he's not here. And I can't, when I tell you guys, like that made me feel so good. And every single day he sends me a little text and reminds me not to forget to call him so that he can do it with all of us. And that is so much more valuable to me. Or being able to go out on a picnic with my entire family and him not loving doing that, but that he would do it because he knows that it makes me happy. I think those things are sweet. Or, laying my head on his chest and cuddling him and he like plays in my hair. Those moments, I think, are so much better and so much more important and having the same passions. We both love children. Um, we both love our people, and he's so moral and and good and upright, right? And I look up to him, and he makes me want to be better, and he inspires me in so many ways. Those things are have far more value than money. And I think when you don't have any character about you, when you don't have anything of substance about you, then you fall back on the most base of things, which is income. And again, income is important. I do believe in hypergamy and things like that, but I think we forget that we're dealing with people, and for a long-term and healthy relationship, Pretty in Black is super on point. It becomes a bigger picture than is somebody putting bacon on the table or not, right? It's a more rounded sort of thing if you really want something healthy where you'll be happy and cared for, and can reciprocate in your way those things. You need a little bit more than somebody's checkbook, for sure.
And I want to add something else to that as well, because what you're saying is totally on point. And another thing that I coach a lot of men on is one thing that a lot of men lack, and that is great listening skills. Because one thing you have to do, especially to maintain a healthy relationship or marriage or anything, is you have to be a great listener, and you have to listen with understanding, you know, and empathy at times. Like when my wife comes home, she's had a long day. My wife likes to, just ramble and everything. And, and it's funny because I'm sure y'all have heard this. Women and men too are just, when people feel comfortable just, letting their hair down and saying what they feel, or, and everything like that. I mean, that's a breath of fresh air. And, it gets, sometimes she even says, oh, she says, babe, I'm sorry. I'm putting all this weight on you and everything through the middle of the conversation. I said, no, babe, just continue to talk. And, just sit there and just listen. And, a lot of times, women, because naturally men are we're fixers. We want to fix the problem and everything. But a lot of times, your partner does not really want you to fix it. They just want to get it off of their chest and want you,
Hmm.
and just like, someone to listen to, hear their, hear their aspirations, their dreams, their fears, their insecurities, and anything and everything like that. And it's up to that man to absorb that and use, again, empathy, and understanding, so that that can grow y'all closer. Go ahead.
That's true. As a perfectioner, a perfectioner, as a professional fixer of things, I really had to learn that in my life, is that some people just want you to listen, because I have a tendency, if somebody brings a problem to me, then I automatically start thinking of ways to repair it. Like, oh, you're saying something's wrong. How can we repair this? And it took me many years of living to learn that, like, everybody doesn't need that. Some people just need a sounding board. They don't want you to fix things. Somebody literally had to say to me once, I don't want you to fix it. And I was like, what? You don't want me to fix it? Like, what? Why are you bringing it to me then? And that was probably the first time somebody had just openly voiced, like, you're always trying to fix things. You're always coming up with solutions. And I was looking at them side eye like, well, fool, what do you want me to do? But as I got older, I realized what you just said, which is that some people just need you to listen. They don't need you to repair. And, you know, y'all, I was old by the time I learned that lesson because I had a hard time accepting it. Um, but it's so true. It really is. See, I love all this healthy mindedness. Do you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes I hear people talking in these spaces and I'm just like, y'all are broken people. You guys are leading people astray. It's about to be a whole lot of miserable people over here because this advice is trash.
Well,
This is
well,
some
a
trash
lot. Well, you have
advice.
to think. You have to think, a lot of people aren't sapiosexuals, and for anybody that doesn't know what that is a person that is stimulated by intellectual conversation and logical conversation. And, you'll be surprised, a lot of women are sapiosexuals. You just have to, number one, find a connection, which is, you have to find an interest that will keep y'all together, because I think a lot of men get it messed up. They think sex is always going to keep it there. And I will tell you, sometimes sex goes up, sometimes it goes down. So you have to have something else that's going to surmise and keep you to that level of intimacy, because once you know what true intimacy is, penetration is really not even like 20% of it.
I think like intimacy makes sex better. Intimacy is what adds that level, but I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Now, I don't want to give you guys false hope, but since we're talking about sex, I just have to say that I've been with Mr. many years, and it has never fallen off because literally I told him he needs to teach a class. I don't know what is going on there or what is happening, but that man cannot miss. He cannot miss. It is the most amazing thing I've never heard of such a thing, but I really struck gold. But with that said, I think it could also be that I love him a great deal because I do think if there is intimacy, which we always look at intimacy as sexual, but intimacy is not necessarily sexual, then when you do engage in sex, then I think that resonates in your lovemaking versus you just having kind of carnal sex, which I know we attach to being pleasurable, but it's really very empty, right? And so I think sex heightens intimacy in a marriage. Let me stress marriage, y'all. Sex heightens intimacy or intimacy is heightened by the sexual relationship, and sex is heightened through intimacy, but sex is not the foundation for everything. And I think a lot of people do try to do that. Like they have fights and then they have sex, like sex is going to fix something, or they'll be completely on the outs, but then the sex is what's holding things together. Or you're having sex and you're not actually deriving pleasure from that. And that all comes from a lack of intimacy. But the esoteric therapist, somebody in the chat was asking for like a link to your
Oh, okay,
coaching.
great,
So
great.
if you want to put it, I'm not on YouTube though. So do I have any
Yeah,
mods in the chat right now?
yeah, I'm not on YouTube either. So what I'm going to do, if you can,
Or if you even put it in my comment section,
yeah,
then I
I'll
can
definitely
pin
do that.
it or something. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Um, but I mean, not my comments. Yeah, of the
Yeah,
video.
the
Yeah,
private
because
chat.
I'm not on
Yes.
YouTube, so I can only time people out and block people. I can't actually tell like if I have mods in the chat right now or, I can't really see what y'all have going on. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. In the chat, I don't know because I'm looking at you guys on StreamYard and it does not give us the information that we need. Um, but yes, I agree with that. I totally do.
And it's ironic too that a lot of men do not understand about women. A lot of women have fetishes that that once you get in tune with this woman, you'll understand that she likes all women love a lot of have a lot of fetishes. And the funny thing is I'm not getting too personal, so I'm gonna just keep it linear here. But that's one thing that keeps our relationship thriving, is because I have a fetish and she caters to that. And she has like little fetishes that I cater to. So that keeps everything heightened for us, but that comes with, understanding each other and understanding what our likes and what our dislikes are. And yeah, again, that comes, like what I always say, the three C's, which is communication, cooperation, and consideration. Because with communication, that's going to bring loyalty, it's going to bring honesty, and it's going to bring truth. With cooperation, y'all are connected as a unit, y'all move together as one. Some Even though I'm the man of the house and everything, well, she gives me information that sometimes I didn't know, and I sit there and listen and everything like that. And then the consideration is, being considerate of your partner's insecurities, their strengths, their weaknesses, and then y'all come, to the table or whatever, or you talk about it, and you put it together, and you form Voltron.
Well, I'll say this. I agree with the fetishes thing. I personally have a fetish, and Mr. meets that. But I will say for me, I think those are conversations that should be had before you decide to enter into a relationship with somebody. Like, I'm really big on um, laying all of everything on the table. Like, you should know yourself well enough to say what your bad aspects are. Like, I was able to tell Mr. all the things that were wrong with me. And I was like, what's wrong with you? And he told me, and I was like, and these are all my really negative points. This is me at my worst. um, so that there are no surprises in what I like, and are we compatible in that, and does that make you comfortable, and like all of those conversations I think should come before you choose to go into a relationship with somebody. I find that people want to do the exploratory phase during the relationship, right? You want to figure out who you're dating or who you're married to in the marriage, right? And I think that foundational work should be done there. And then what happens is a more intimate understanding of that person. But to simply not know who you're dealing with and to try to discover that in the midst of building something, I think lots of people do that. Lots of people don't have conversations in the beginning. They don't actually talk about who they are and what their expectations are, not like what I want, but like what are the things that are really, problematic for me? What are the things that I absolutely need? What are the things you absolutely need? What are my strong points? What are my weak points, right? What are my tendencies? Like having those conversations and that person reciprocating and telling you those things about themselves so that you guys can even decide, is it worth having a go, right? Because let's say if there's something sexual that that person's into and you're never going to do it, well, that's a relationship that's not going to work, right? Or let's say that, like for me, relationships with women that you've slept with, right? Or have sexual interest in is a complete no for me. That's a no for me, right? So a person that doesn't want to give up those relationships is not going to be compatible with me. Like if that's going to be important to you, because that's going to go south, right? Um, I am spoiled. So a person that doesn't want to deal with somebody that's a little bit spoiled and, is probably not going to want to deal with me. Mr. really requires order and obedience. I know obedience is like a triggering word for women, but I don't really mind the word. So a confrontational person who wants to fight and who does not listen is not going to be compatible with him. But we had to have those discussions in the beginning, and then that's easy to decide whether or not you should even try to move forward into a relationship with somebody. A lot of times, we want things and then we don't voice them until we're in the relationship, and then we find out like that person's not about to cater to that need or want, or that person's personality is not compatible with what we're trying to do because we didn't do the foundational work. Like I said, we like to date strangers. We like to marry and date strangers, and that's why you get strange things out of your relationship, because you've been with a proverbial stranger the whole time. Anyway, have we exhausted this conversation, you guys? I wanted to chat it up with you guys. But if we have exhausted go ahead, pretty
Yeah,
girl.
yeah. I mean, we can move on. What's next?
I don't really know. I just wanted to talk to you guys. I mean, everybody, not just the panel, but everybody in general. I didn't have a lot of important things I wanted to say, but I feel like all the conversations on my channel have been like so serious. I didn't want to have a chill session because I didn't want to make people feel like some topics were off, you know, limits, but I did want to just kind of vibe out with you guys a little bit and on like a positive note and just enjoy you guys.
What did you have to say about Mike Epps? I don't really have too many thoughts on it, but I was wondering what your
Oh,
thoughts
are you
were.
talking about his baby? What he did with
Yeah,
his daughter? Yeah.
photoshopping.
Oh, you know what? I guess I really do want to talk about
Photoshopping.
that. Okay, so honestly, this is what I think about that. Obviously, he photoshopped the picture, but this is what I really think about that. I think that it's very common in our y'all. I was gonna have this conversation. I'm not gonna do it probably because there's two men on the panel. But I was legit. Thank you, Shantae. I appreciate that. I was legit gonna have this conversation, but I was afraid to have it because it was on my mind before I knew about the Mike Epps thing. But the reality is that um, whatever he did to that picture is indicative of what a lot of Black people think in their minds. And it just got me thinking about like our level of self hate and what we prefer. And really, I think what people are mad about is that it's embarrassing that he so openly portrayed something that a lot of us, both men and women, think in secret. And it got me thinking about trigger warning, okay? It got me thinking about like, okay, so I was sitting watching this video of a young lady and I forget what she was talking about, like why she doesn't go to the hair salon anymore. You guys probably, this video might have come up in your feed. So she was like, why I don't go to the hair salon? And I was like, oh, this is an interesting video. So she was a real cute girl and she was putting on like a wig at the time. And so she was talking, and her conversation was pretty interesting. It was pretty funny why she doesn't go to the hair salon. And then she's putting on the wig and she's like spraying it and combing it. And I was thinking to myself, okay, prepare to be trigger jaw. I was thinking to myself, okay, when for me as a woman, and this is what I would say to my baby sister, I have two younger sisters, what I would say to my daughters or anything, um, we reach the height of our self confidence when we are the closest to our natural selves. So we can enhance our beauty, but not totally transform ourselves in such a way that when we feel our most confident, we are the furthest away from our natural selves. And so I was thinking to myself as I was looking at her wig, I was thinking when you wear that, let's say you walk into an environment, um, let's say you're wearing green contacts, and then you go into an environment with somebody who has naturally green eyes. Is that an awkward feeling? Is it an awkward feeling for something that is not real for you to be juxtaposed with somebody who naturally has that feature? And then I started thinking about the hair. Like, is it the same thing? Like, the wig was very pretty, but is it weird to go into an environment and let's say you're standing in a line and you and the girl next to you have the same hair, except for that's her hair, her natural texture and all that. Do you feel confident being a mimicry of somebody else's beauty? So for me personally, I have thinner hair, right? I don't have really, I was not blessed with what 99.9% of Black women got, which is five people's heads worth of hair.
We got the same hair. We
Oh,
got
do
the
we
same
really?
type of hair. Yeah.
Girl, y'all, that's why I always pull it to one side. Like in this picture, my hair is all pulled to one side. That's all my hair. That's all the hair on my head is all pulled to that one side.
I used to
So,
have a similar picture and it was all my hair on one side too. It's the same thing.
Irene,
so
your hair is beautiful.
thank you. I love my hair too, but I do recognize that if the sun shines on it just right, it's very
Well, you know what?
yeah, like I have very scalpy hair because it's very fine and it's very low density.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about like the weave thing, right? And I think this. I
Well, it
think there's
doesn't
a.
even have to be weave. It can be
Oh,
if you're wearing contacts. It could be if
okay,
you're wearing 5 pounds of makeup. It could be if
okay.
you're wearing like however you modify yourself. Um,
Well, I have something
yeah.
for that. Because again, and this goes
Patchy
to
is
a
like,
lot.
no, that's why I hesitated to bring it up with men on the panel. But this
That's
this
fine.
ties into Mike Epps' whole thing that he did with his daughter and just how like internally we don't like us. Like
Mhm.
Mike
Well,
Epps has curly hair, but
well,
he
here's the
doesn't like that hair on his daughter. Do you know what I
well,
mean?
well, understandable, but here's the thing about that, right? And I want to be just as transparent as possible. Now, and I'm speaking for me personally. Personally, I can't speak for nobody else. But the thing to me, the thing about like the enhancements and everything like that, it's fine if it's in a subtle way. Like I always say, there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything. And when you see it going over top, and men have men have the same issue, just in a different way, trying to over accessorize. A lot of times, I've come to find out that they're hiding something, meaning that they're trying to say, well, look at this person, but that person under that you don't want nobody to see because that person is scarred, not perfect, and shows some insecurities there a lot of times. So what a lot of people tend to do is over exaggerate themselves, or go into what we call a split personality syndrome, meaning that haven't you and I've come to see a lot of people do that. Like, they put on their accessories and everything, and like first their name is Tom. Their name is Tom, but once they put the or Lakeisha, and once they put all that stuff on, they say, "Nah, I'm the bad bitch now," or "Hey, I'm this real nigga now," going out and everything, trying to show everybody this other person. But then once you get to know that real person and everything, that's the person that they're trying to hide because a lot of that comes from trauma psychologically a lot of times. So that's what I see.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
what I would add to that is, and again, I do agree with you, Irene. This is more a conversation for women. But speaking as a man who does have a lot of hair, I feel like anytime I come across women with like false locks and they see my locks, they kind of get jealous. I even have women who come to me, touch my hair, and they say, "Boy, I'm so jealous of your hair. Your hair is so and long." So I do feel like there's a little bit of a jealousy when their accessories kind of come across someone with the real deal. So yeah.
Maybe not even jealousy, but I think like it can make you self-conscious, right?
I don't really think that, like, well, I mean, maybe that happens to people, but I guess kind of growing up with like the thinner hair that like is just curly or whatever, and then having people around me be like, they would always come up to me and say, "Oh wow, you would look great with some Afro puffs," and I'm like, yeah, my hair doesn't do that, and I'm sad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even now, like my daughter, she has that real full hair. She got this big old afro, and like, all these cute styles, these natural styles that like it doesn't look that way in my hair. It just doesn't. My hair is natural. There's nothing in it, but it doesn't do that. So I don't know that people necessarily will feel um I don't know, insecure or off, because I think that they're trying to achieve. I think if anything, they think, "Oh wow, look, I'm achieving it. It looks like that person's hair or whatever." I think more the insecurity or the, I don't know, I guess more uncomfortable feeling, because I know I dealt with this too, is when you see someone who has what you already have naturally, but they are proud of it, and they are, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had a friend, like, growing up, we're both thick girls, but me, I wanted to cover myself up a lot. But she wanted, like, she was wearing like little short skirts and shorts, and I mean, showing herself off. And it was like, wow, yeah, no, I don't have the confidence for that. And I think I felt more awkward standing next to her than I would standing next to somebody, even if I had like contacts in or something and they had that naturally. That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I think I think we glorify um I think a lot of times we glorify traits, not just women, but men too. And I think when Mike Epps altered his daughter's appearance, he altered it to glorify something that is commonly glorified in our community. And people came for him as if we don't know that this is glorified by men and women alike in our community. And I think sometimes when people are overtly embarrassing by exposing like the inner workings of many of the minds in our community, that we attack them, not because there's some weird outlier that have a propensity that lots of us don't have, but because you're not supposed to let the world know that that's why we are moving the way that we're moving as a people, right? And so when I saw what he did, I was like, well, yeah, that's how most Black people think, right? That's how most Black people think. Um, and we see that reflected in a lot of our decisions that we make as Black people. And he's literally just being the average Black person. That's what I thought to myself. And he's
I,
Very
being
true.
I
and he's
think
being
there's a lot
tied
of
to a
self
stake
hate.
because we don't want to admit that. But the reality is we have to face this we have to look this in the face and deal with it. What were you gonna say, Pretty in Black? I thought I heard you.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think there's a lot of like maybe not self hate, but like insecurity. I think there's a lot of low self esteem with Black people in general, and I think we attack anything really that kind of, I don't know, I guess you want to say goes viral or gets a lot of attention, that is something that we know is associated with us in our culture. I mean, like you said, that glorification of really anti-blackness or non-blackness in our community, we know that exists, but we don't want to see it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think we just do it with stuff like that. I think we do it with not just things that are embarrassing like that, but I think we do it like it was like that with the bonnets, or you know, just any of those examples, the twerking, the stuff like that that are associated with us. I think we go, hey, no, 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 this is our laundry, this is our dirty laundry, let's cover it up, and we get so mad about it. So I just feel like this is another example of that.
Yeah. And then we try to act like these people are outliers in their mindsets. And it's like, dude, they're not outliers. And what it's indicative of is we need to fix this, right? It's like okay to think it in your head, and it's okay to even act on it, but it's not okay to publicize it. And I think that's the unspoken rule in the Black community. It's like we all know, we're all thinking it, we all clock it, but you're not allowed to publicly expose us. Like that is where you've crossed the line, right?
Hey, well, you know what? Let me ask you this, Irene. And like when I see stuff, and when I see stuff like, let's say that Mike Epps thing, I like to think a little bit deeper on this. Let me ask you this, and tell me what you think. Do you think the reason why he did that is because he knew it would bring shock value to him, and he would get some type of comments, even a publicity, whether it be negative or positive?
Well, I think that he's a comedian. But I do think that if you look at like the history of his conversation, like everything has some truth in it, right? That's what makes things funny, right? That's what makes a lie work, is that it has to have a seed of truth. So we know like with his older daughter, um, he compared her to James Brown, her physical appearance. And he
Oh
and
wow,
he
I didn't
said
hear
that
that.
he got rid of her mother because when he was dating her mother, he didn't know he was going to be successful. And then once he got successful, he couldn't be seen with somebody that looked like her, right?
Wow.
Now, was he
Okay.
cracking jokes? Yes. But was there truth in that? Yes.
Yes.
Right? And so I do think like could it have been for shock value and all this? Yeah. But is this also what he was really thinking? Yes. Because they do play up. Now, this little girl has curly hair. And when I was researching this, because I was curious about it and what people were thinking about it, I noticed that even though her hair is curly and much similar to his hair, um, she came out very light when she was young, and there was a lot of fawning both by him and other people over the child. But I think what he was surprised by is that even though the mother is lighter complected, that a lot of our babies are born damn near white. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then the little
True.
girl got darker as she got older and got curlier hair. And I find when they doll her up, they slick it back and down, but her hair is curly. And so I think he could have been fishing because he titled it her hair, right? But also, I think there was truth in that because he's had a lot of sentiments about his older daughter and what she looks like, saying her mom looked like James Brown and she basically looks like half of James Brown. Um, he's made a lot of comments about physical appearance and having upgraded. And he's done this over the years, and because he's a comedian, he does it in a joking manner, but his life actually reflects exactly what he's joking about, right? He
Very true.
completely changed his style of woman. He completely he has a preference for he in his own words a certain aesthetic that one of his children doesn't have.
Oh wow.
They do
I
slick
didn't
that
realize that.
baby's hair down a great deal, even though it is curly when they want to doll her up. And so I think, yeah, he could have been trolling a little bit, but I think there was some truth behind the troll. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, and I don't think he was trolling at all. I think he was Mike Epps was being Mike Epps. That's what he really believes in yeah, and at his core. And he's a comedian at the end of the day, so we're not talking about sophisticated people. And I feel like when we as a black community or the powers that be elect these people as, leaders or idols to our communities, and we shouldn't be surprised that they express, colorism and self-hate like that.
I agree with Nick. I think that, I do actually have a degree in public relations. And I think, I mean, yeah, there might be some PR, but honestly, Mike Epps isn't really all that funny to me. And I feel like this is just his kind of brand of comedy. He has used his kids in his comedy stand up before, and said that, like, his daughters made a joke about, like, his daughters being jealous, like his one daughter, the one he said looks like James Brown, being jealous of, I don't know if they're twins or whatever, but he has these other two daughters who were originally much lighter when they were younger and they had the curly hair and stuff like that. But as they got older, they darkened up and their hair is a little bit thicker or whatever. It's not as curly. So honestly, I think to him, he probably thought it was funny. I don't know that it's a good PR stunt though, even if you're getting that bad publicity in this particular climate, that's not going to get you any more fans.
Very true. Very true.
I think also to do it at the expense of your child because the internet lives on forever. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And, our young girls grow up with so many complexes as it is. And we know, the things I don't like. I'm just going to keep it real. I have seen like little black girls and like their moms will get them like the straight little wigs, like the little kid wigs, but they'll be like straight or blonde or and they'll like be wearing them and I actually that really irritates me. I'm not gonna lie, that pisses me off. I'm just like, why would you get her this wig? Do you know what I mean? Um, because there's already so much baggage. And I really do think as women, we have a responsibility, and I say this for myself as well, to kind of when little girls see us, um, and we look like them and they think that we're beautiful. Kids are very perceptive. I think from the head down, they should see a reflection of themselves. Like they really, really should. And I know as with the house full of children with curly hair, I really push curly hair and I make sure that I wear my hair curly as much as possible because I want to push that that's attractive and pretty. And, if I don't wear my hair in its natural state, my children are going to want to emulate me and they're going to want to emulate and put value in what they think I value. And so I think to build confidence in our little ones, we have to show them that we value and feel confident and prefer ourselves so that they'll prefer their natural selves. And I think that little girl to pull a stunt like that, even if he was totally joking, which I'm not sure that he was, um, is not healthy for his daughters to see and is not going to be healthy if ever that little girl grows up and she sees that. I think it just sends the wrong message and he's a father and he has to think about that too. It's kind of like the guy that looks like he has a disease with all the tattoos. Um,
Okay.
the rapper, the skinny
Which one?
one
That's a
who had
lot
the
of them.
the fat wife.
Little Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
him.
Yeah,
Yes.
Lil Wayne. Okay.
It's like when he talks down on an aesthetic that his daughter has. It's like that does have to affect her in whatever context because that is her aesthetic. So I
Do
just think
you
as parents, we have to be mindful of that.
do you
Very
think
true.
that we would view this differently if he hadn't photoshopped the photo? Which, by the way, it also looks like he kind of lightened her skin. So I think it's really weird. But
Well, he also made her look older. Like that was kind of perverted for me because she looked like not even a baby in that picture. It looked like he
yeah, it
put
was
like a
weird.
teenage face on a baby body and it was just weird.
But I was wondering if he had, let's say her hair just was naturally longer with the type of hair she has now. Let's say if it stayed really like that and really did kind of smooth out or have, that thinner kind of straighter hair or whatever. If he had put up a picture of her and said, "Ooh, her hair," or something, making a comment about her hair, do you think we would have the same reaction, or do you think we would be okay with that because at least he's talking about his natural thought? Like, I think some of us would, but I think some of us might be mad that he's kind of glorifying these non-black features, basically.
You mean like if it were curlier? Like more curly hair?
Like if he hadn't have photoshopped it and that was just her hair, and he was just putting up a picture saying, "Ooh, her hair," or whatever.
I
I think
don't
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I think it would give him something to fall back on, and not for him to like make him see like, oh, you really hate, you really are very a colorist, a futurist person. But he wouldn't have to say that. He would say, oh, I'm just talking about my daughter's natural hair. But since that was a Photoshop, it's very blatant that, oh, you're just a colorist person. So it would definitely give him an excuse. But since he photoshopped it, he doesn't really have an excuse. So he just kind of exposed his hand.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, hey, since we're talking about entertainment, not well, I hate to shift gears on this, but
Well,
I
no,
would
no.
really
I
look.
want you to shift gears, but wait, before
Okay,
you shift gears, I want to say
sure.
this before you shift gears because I don't want to forget it. I will forget. Y'all know I'm old. So, the Let Your Hair Down challenge, I'm not on TikTok, but like where women are like letting their hair down. So, I was thinking Black women can't do this. Okay. We can't do this not because we don't have hair, but because even my hair is long, but it's black hair, so it's not heavy. It's light like a feather, right? So if I let my hair down, it's not going to cascade down. It's going to kind of float and it's not going to probably drop because it's not heavy and weighty the way that straight hair is or non-black hair is. We just don't overwhelmingly have hair like that. Um Regardless of the curl pattern, right?
Hey, I'm
So
glad you
I
said
was
that, Irene.
thinking,
I'm
what
sorry.
if
Go ahead.
there was like a halo challenge or something like that, like a challenge we could actually participate in,
Well, guess
where
what?
when
Well,
we
I'm
let
glad
our
you
hair
said.
down, it was something different than cascading down because our hair does not do that naturally. What were you saying?
Well, speaking of that, I'm glad you spoke on that because and to me, I thought this was very disturbing. Since you're talking about the hair down challenge, I seen one TikTok of, and you probably seen it too, of the I guess she was Indian or something like that, and she let all her hair down, and it was like all the way down to her butt, I guess. But I seen, but under the comment section, you seen so many black women just idolizing her hair, saying, hey, can I have your hair? Shoot, hey, did you see that challenge or
Well,
the
I had
backlash
heard,
with that?
so I had heard of the Let Your Hair Down challenge, and I didn't see
Yeah.
that clip, but Chrissy did a video on it that I saw tonight, and
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, I've seen this challenge." And when I first saw the challenge, because on the YouTube Shorts,
Hmm.
sometimes it advertises what's trending, and so I saw that that was a challenge, and the first thing I thought is, "Oh, there won't be any black women in this challenge because our hair is not going to flop down if we pull it out of a bun or something, right? So we can't really participate. This is like a very non-black challenge right here because our hair does the opposite. Um, but when I saw Chrissy's video where she talked about it, she showed some of the comments, which kind of broke my heart when I saw those comments. I just was like, This kind of made me think of Mike Epps' kid too. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, everybody in the back of their mind is thinking this. um, and it's unfortunate. That's why I said we need a challenge that our people can participate in, because our hair is
Understandable.
not going to flop down like wet spaghetti, because that's not how our hair works. So we need a different challenge.
Okay, I got like
Like a
three.
float like a feather challenge, a halo challenge. What challenge
I
can we
like that. I
do?
got an idea.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, three things. Number one, so I know my screen name is Pretty and Black. My name is Halo, so you can call me Halo. So it's funny you said the Halo challenge. Um, but I was gonna say this: the picture with the girls saying, "Can I have your hair?" This the kind of hair I seen that video from Chrissy, and it was sad, but it wasn't really all that surprising. I mean, once again, it's the kind of thing where it's like, are you mad that people behaved in the way that you knew they were going to behave? Because I don't even think women are, you know, in secret coveting hair like that. I mean, I think they're openly coveting it and have always been. But the challenge that we should have. So what if it's just called like the Let Your Curls Out challenge? And what you would do, you would sit in front of the camera, you have your hair in your braids. You know how Black women, we will braid our hair up or French braid it or whatever back. And then basically you just do an edit to where like your curls are out. So you have your like twist out or your blowout or whatever.
You should
Yeah, like,
try
how
it.
do we get these challenges started? Because we can't
Go on
do the
TikTok
wet
and just make
spaghetti
one.
challenge.
Just go on
We
TikTok and make one and let it
Yeah,
trend.
I don't have a TikTok account, but I literally I think we should do like a different challenge. I wish I had a bigger channel, because then I could really make this happen. But like,
Right.
y'all do the work for
But
me.
you actually can. Just go on TikTok.
Those of you who are on TikTok, like, do the work, okay? Because we need a challenge we can participate in. Our hair is not going to drop, like I said, like kind of a wet noodle kind of thing. So we need a challenge that, like, it can be, our challenge is going to be exclusionary, because everybody's not going to be able to pull it off. So I just feel like this is a challenge Black women we can't get in on this because our hair is not about to flop down anywhere. The hair is wanting to do other things that are not floppy. So
Yeah, but I love how our hair kind of like our curls just kind of burst out. I don't know. I like our hair better. That it falling straight is not good.
yeah, first of all, y'all, I look like a drowned cat when my hair is straight. So I don't want to do I straighten my hair for trip. Like, if I'm flying somewhere and I'm going to be gone, I'll straighten my hair for trips so I don't have to carry supplies. It's not my favorite look. I don't have enough hair on my head to pull off a straight look. Like, I need these curls to make me look like I have a full head of hair, because I've got length but no girth, right? So
Yeah, I just got a lot of hair. I just have a lot. So when my hair looks full, but it's actually really thin, but it's just there's so much of it.
Hey, excuse me. Can I say one thing?
yeah.
Black women, I love y'all. I mean, this is such a great conversation, and oh man, I love Black women, man. Y'all are amazing. Y'all are so amazing.
Well, that is very kind. Thank you.
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
Jojo, why are you laughing at us? We need a challenge. Y'all are on TikTok. Go get this going. You got
right. Like, no, I'm too old to be having all that following on TikTok. So I know some of the younger people could probably do it.
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok, but we need you, yeah, you young people, to start a challenge that our ladies can participate in. And it's gonna get real crazy too, because especially when you get into like the really kind of the froze that are kind of like crowns, and the froze that are long, the froze that are like really kind of almost don't even look real because they're kind of like a wig. When you get into all of like the various types of curls, that would be a fun challenge, because there's so many things I see done with hair and like we can't participate. You know how people like whip their hair back and forth, and like the whole stiff wear thing, like I don't really know what that's about, but the thing is that when we're like stiff wear and we're like shaking our hair and it's like flopping around, like that's not how our hair is. Our hair is really like a feather. You know how when you throw a feather up in the air, it kind of hovers and like floats back and forth? That's more accurate to how our hair is, which is not stiff, but also if you shake it, it's like it's in slow motion because we don't have that heaviness in our
Mm.
hair. Even when it's long, it's kind of still, it still kind of wants to, be out, So I just think we need to start embracing like what our hair does, because I know like when we look at hair commercials or like when we're watching television, like all the things that are happening with people's hair, it's what's happening to hair that's not like ours. And so we get out of touch with like what is attractive and sexy about how our hair moves. And it's so different. Like maybe we don't know how to really portray that or embrace that. But I think if we start to, you know, do that, then, we won't always have to, like instead of stiff wear, like we should be looking for like the floatiest hair, right? What hair is getting the most value? I mean, I don't know. Y'all help me out here. Y'all got black hair. Don't make me do all the footwork. You young people, use your young brains and come up with some stuff
Well, let
so
me ask
that
you
we
this,
can
Irene.
promote ourselves.
Let me ask you this, Irene. What do you think about the baby situation with all that backlash he's getting, and everybody's canceling him out, and he's losing a
Oh, I
lot
don't
of
know. What
money.
did he do?
Oh, you know about the about that I guess the gay statement he made at Rolling Loud
Oh,
about a
I
week
don't
ago
know.
or
What
so.
gay statement did he make?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I
Okay,
mean,
go
Isn't
ahead,
he
Nick.
gay though? Doesn't he like kiss another guy on the
no,
lips? Like,
no, the
wait,
No, that's
baby
Little
isn't.
Nas X.
Yeah, the baby isn't
We
gay.
t-
So
He
basically,
no,
must
I
is
be
mean,
I
in
yeah,
that
thought like
little
bird,
Wayne.
does he make like bird calls and stuff?
no,
yeah,
He
that's
must be in that
Birdman.
little Wayne.
yeah.
That's Lil
Yeah,
Wayne
oh
and
yeah, he
Birdman.
kisses the guy with the disease. Or well, he doesn't. I don't know that he has a disease. He looks sickly though. They kiss, don't they?
Oh, you're talking about Birdman. Yeah,
Yeah,
his name is Baby too, but now this is the
the
baby.
baby.
Oh,
Yes.
I don't know who he is. What did he say?
Well,
You want to? I'll let you go into that, Nick.
yeah. Well, basically, he was at a concert and he was hyping up the concert and he said, "Put your hands up or put your lighters up if you haven't given anyone AIDS. Put your hands up if you're not like sucking dick in the parking lot." And then the Skittle squad they got on him and he's losing a lot of like endorsements.
Aw.
And my thing is he
Oh
didn't say
yeah,
anything
Pink
wrong.
Butterfly called it. I find that hilarious. No, no, but see, they're very diseased. So I think I was like, that's a. I have to see that. Where's the clip? Somebody give me give me that clip so I can have a good hearty laugh. I don't see a problem with it. He's being canceled.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
big times. Yeah,
Who's canceling him? The gay people?
everybody. Yep. Yeah, yeah. You don't miss one
Everybody
thing. You
can't be
don't.
canceling him. I know.
Everybody.
I'm sure a lot
Yes.
of people aren't canceling. A lot of
Well,
people probably found it
we're
funny
talking about
too.
his sponsor. We're talking about his sponsors. His concerts are being canceled. I mean, like just in the last week, he's canceled off of 10 shows, and I did the numbers on that of what he makes annually as far as his shows or what he gets. He's canceled up to December, so he's done lost over 2 million in
You
revenue.
mean that
Just all,
he like his like concerts? Is that what you're talking about?
yep, yeah,
Who
yeah.
is he? Like, what does he sing? I don't even know his music.
Um, the only
Me
song
neither.
I really know is like "Bop on Broadway" or
Oh, I know. I
um
don't know.
yeah. I mean, I don't really
Yeah, I
listen to
don't
him
know.
like that,
I
but my
mean,
daughter
Yeah, I don't know.
does. She likes
Yeah,
because
I don't know.
the
I
baby
don't
is a
know who
generic
he is or
rapper.
anything, but the comment sounds hilarious. That
yeah. Go
sounds
check
like
the
I
clip out
I want to
first.
see that. I want to watch that comment. Where's the link? Nobody dropped the link yet, so I can watch it because it sounds funny to me. I mean, I really think honestly, the gays can say whatever they want, and you guys know I'm not for political correctness, so I
Hey, I'm
just
gonna get
get
off here
sick
and I'm
of
gonna
the
go
word
find the link and
police.
drop it. Okay,
Oh, okay.
and I'll
Yeah,
come
I
right
just
back
get
up.
sick of the word police. Like I don't. I'm not for the word police. I don't even care if the racists get to say what they want to say. I just think that people should be able to say what they want to say, and if you don't vibe with it, you don't vibe with it. But as far as like, the emotionality surrounding it, like who wants to be bothered? I don't want to be bothered.
Yeah,
Right. I
and for
don't
me,
think there's. I
no,
honestly
go ahead.
didn't really have a problem with his comments because he didn't attach anything. And I got to thinking about this earlier. I was like, everything he said could have been solely aimed at women. He might not even been talking about gay people because he literally said, if you don't have AIDS or any other STDs, put your phones up. And then he said, ladies, if your vagina smells like water, put your phones up. And then he said, if you weren't sucking dick in the parking lot, put your phones up. To me, I'm like, he could have been just coming for women. He might not even been thinking about the gay community, but okay.
Oh, but then the gays associated that disease with them, those
Right.
getting it.
They
That's what it was. They were telling on themselves. They were like, "Hey, wait a minute. You can't talk about us in this age like that."
not
You
they was
can't.
telling on themselves. Okay.
The
That's
gays, the gays stereotype themselves, and they got in the mix. Nobody called for them.
oh my goodness,
Yeah,
that's
y'all know.
bad. Okay.
I don't even know why you guys brought anything like this up to me.
Yeah, I do think, see, this is where his public relations team messed up. He came back out though, and he caught himself giving an apology. He actually gave kind of two of them. So the first one, he said, oh, my gay friends weren't offended by what I said because they're not nasty and they put their phones up too and they take care of themselves and they don't have AIDS. And I'm like, why? Who is letting you talk?
That was his comeback. He's like, my gay friends are clean. They're not
Right.
dirty like y'all.
He said, my gay friends aren't nasty. They're not doing that. They put their lighters up or their phones up or whatever. And then he did this like some video that he put out, some music video, I guess he put out. At the end of it, he has some nonsensical sentence about basically people are just sorry. People are just mad that I live how they want to live or something like that. And it's the sorry is, or whatever the words are in like the rainbow colors. So I was like, well, that's where his team messed up. There you go. You just should have not done that. You would have been fine. You should have just kept it moving. Like, yeah,
He
he
sounds like an entertaining little goofball. I mean, we all need a goofball around. See, there's always got to be one jester in the bunch, and if he's gonna make funny jokes, I mean, I'm happy to laugh. I guess some people didn't find it funny, but it sounds amusing hearing it secondhand to me. Although honestly, I don't know who this person is. Yeah, I have no idea who this man is. I really, really don't.
yeah, I mean, I don't listen to him. I think the big song that he did was Rockstar. I think that was like a big song he did. I,
Oh, she's a runner. She's a track star.
no, I don't know how it goes.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I think it was
I don't
called
know.
Rockstar, and I don't know how it
I
goes
don't
at
know.
all. But I think that
No
was the
clue.
song.
He probably doesn't have any talent, but that doesn't stop him from saying something funny every now and again. I just don't know how we're gonna cancel somebody if half of the population doesn't know who he is. I just am like he's not very cancelable if nobody knows who this man is.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I know some other creators covered the story, so they dropped a lot of information that I had no idea about that man. So
Oh well,
I
yeah.
don't
Now
care.
he's
I
getting
can't
some
cancel.
publicity, so maybe this is a win.
Right, right.
Yeah, calling themselves baby. Well, that's a whole Nilly Fuller Jr. conversation of why a grown man would call himself anything to do with a baby. But yeah, that's a little backward. I agree with that. What kind of music do I listen to? I listen to all kinds of music. I like global music though. So I like music from different countries. Maybe I'll make my playlist public. But yeah, I like Brazilian funk, which sounds much like Brazilian rap, but it's actually called Brazilian funk. I don't know why, because they're rapping, but they call it funk. So I like Brazilian funk. I like R&B. I like I like this Russian music where they try to rap. It's not rap music, it's like kind of like techno but rappy. I like some of that. I like classical music. I love scripture songs. Like when you sing scriptures, that's my favorite. I like an eclectic variety of music. There's some like Australian hip hop music that I really like indigenous hip hop music that I really like. Um, so I like a variety of music. I uh like um bluegrass. I like alternative music, like old school, like grunge alternative music. I like a lot. Things like that. So I like an eclectic variety of music. I like any music that sounds good. I like some really abstract, like I don't even know what genre it would fall into. There's one artist I'm listening to now. She's clearly into BDSM and she's probably a mixed lady and her music is very like I'm not sure what genre that would be. It'd probably fall into the same genre as like Bjork. So I like Bjork. And that music is very simple, similar to her music, but I'm not sure like what genre is that? Weird? The weird genre? I like that music. So I like a variety. But I also love old school R&B, like really, really old. Like Curtis Mayfield, Isley Brothers, let's go even further back, you know, sitting by the dock of the bay old. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm old.
Irene, do you listen to Afrobeat?
What's that?
Afrobeat. You listen to Afrobeat? Like you listen to Davo and Wizkid?
I don't know who those people are.
All right, never
Now, I
mind
do
then.
listen to some African rap, hip hop type music. Is that what Afrobeats is?
No, it's more modern. Like it's like I
Oh,
said,
no.
like it's
I
like
don't listen to that. I don't think I listen to that. But there are some African artists that I like, but I don't think I listen to Afrobeats. Yeah. And I like some YouTube, like there are some YouTube like DJs that do like mashups, like where so what is it? What is his name? Like XXYY, XY, XX, something, something. Anyway, these people that don't even have names, like, but they're very talented and they do like old school, like not with scratching, but that idea of where you like clip different pieces of music and then like make a new composition. I think that's really interesting when people take artistic license like that. So I don't know. Maybe I will make, like I said, my playlist public. You guys are going to be like, Irene will listen. Like, we don't even, half of the stuff I listen to is not even in English, y'all. Um, because I just like a variety of music, but it's all really good music. Oh, I like a lot of music that is in Portuguese. Some of these Portuguese love songs and rap music are really good. Like black people, because we have black people everywhere. There's even a Japanese rapper out here, and he is hardcore. He's so good. He's so talented, but all of his music is mastered so poorly. I just maybe he doesn't have the money to go get it like mixed and mastered the way it needs to be done to get like that clarity. It sounds like it's on an old vinyl record, but it's like really, really low. So I can't really get enjoyment from it because the clarity is not the best, but he's so talented. I don't know. So at this point, I'm just telling you guys everything. It's clearly I need to go to bed because I'm on a whole rant about the music that I listen to. Yeah, jazz is good. Jazz is good. Yes, jazz is nice. Jazz is not my favorite. I can't lie though. Jazz is not my favorite genre of music, but it is nice. Like some jazz is better than others. I'll say that, right? Some jazz is good and some jazz is not good. I feel like a lot of times I hear jazz music and it's not good, but because it's jazz, people love it because we've been conditioned to really like jazz music and just think it's profound no matter what's going on, even though a lot of it is not that great.
I don't know. Jazz music always makes me think of Christmas, and I don't know why. Like, no matter what it is, I think Christmas music, and that's it. That's all I hear every time I hear jazz.
I feel like I've heard of FKA Twigs. I feel like I've heard of FKA Twigs. Is FKA Twigs into bondage? Lashik, is FKA Twigs into bondage? Because if so, I think I know who you're talking about. But anyway, let me get out of here. What are your final thoughts, Pretty in Black and Nick?
Pleasant conversation. Always dope.
Just
Talking
in
about
general.
a wide variety of conversations, and yeah, it was definitely dope talking to y'all. Peace.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. What about you, Pretty in Black?
Yeah, it was a good conversation, interesting, funny. I'm still going to be laughing about the baby comments, but yeah, it was nice talking to you. You have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, Lashik, she is into bondage. I know who you're talking about, and I do like her music. I just discovered her not that long ago, and I actually like bondage. And she is into like Japanese bondage. So some of her videos are really beautiful videos. Um, now I think she's not tied up like probably as beautifully as she could be tied up if she were nude, but obviously you can't do a video naked. So, but some of her videos are very creative and beautiful. And yes, she is into bondage, and I dig how she mixes the bondage part of BDSM in with her music, and it's very abstract. And yes, I like her music. See, I couldn't remember her name, but when you wrote her name, I could see it in my mind. I'm a very visual person. So yes, I do like her. You guys, well, everybody won't like her. I'm not going to advise you guys check her out because you can be like, what are you on, Irene? What are you on, Irene? But with that said, yes, she's into bondage, but she's very creative. What's her name again? Lashik, what's her name again? FKA Twigs is her name. FKA Twigs. Her videos are beautiful videos, like really, really beautiful. Anyway, yeah, her videos are beautiful. I agree. Anyway, we'll end on that note, y'all. It was nice vibing out with you guys tonight. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice break from all the serious stuff we've been talking about. And I hope you guys have a nice evening and a nice weekend in case. Well, I'll see you tomorrow. I think we'll do the mixtape tomorrow or Saturday. So until I see you at the mixtape, I'll talk to you guys later.